In my time playing video games and coming across all sorts of characters in them, John Marston stands out as one of the most well written, thought out, multidimensional character whose tale of being an incompetent father, husband, and outlaw to fulfilling his duties as a family man and at least trying to redeem himself for his past sins can be said to be one of the most intriguing and fascinating one, and one worthy of looking back on and inspected with a great deal of scrutiny. Obviously, I cannot make this character analysis without spoiling the entire plot of Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2, so watch at your discretion. Now let's sit back, relax, and dive into the main subject of today's discussion, John Marston. To start off with some history here, John was born to an illiterate Scottish immigrant father and a prostitute mother in 1873, who passed away at childbirth. John initially lived with his father, who used to love Scotland and always talked about it. Soon afterwards, his father died in a bar fight in Chicago when John was just 8 in 1881. He was sent to an orphanage but soon got out on the streets and committed his first murder at the age of 11. When he was 12, he was caught stealing by some homesteaders who tried to hang him, but Dutch happened to come across and rescue him and took him as his own. Dutch, Arthur, and Hosea became his only family, and it was Dutch who taught both of them to read, write, hunt, shoot, and instilled in them with a love for nature. Dutch and Hosea were like mentors to John and Arthur, and as a result, both of them became fiercely loyal to them. The way John is portrayed in the first game is quite different from the second. In the second game, we see him as an incompetent, clueless man who knows nothing about taking care of his family, to somewhat building a life for himself with a ranch and farm by the end, to trying to rescue his family from federal agents at any cost in the first game. He transitioned from a clueless, incompetent man to a mature, pragmatic survivalist, hardened by the terrible circumstances he went through. Much like Arthur, the gang was the only thing he held loyal to and was like a family to him. But when Dutch finally lost his mind and went on his own personal crusade at the cost of all other gang members, John realized it was high time for him and his family to get out of this mess and seek out a future, which Arthur helped him achieve and advised him to do in the first place.
I've been nervous for a while. I had a lot of time to think in that jail, and I feel like I just don't know Dutch no more.
You ain't the only one.
And this plan to get us out, it just feels... I don't know.
Like you're stringing us along, I know.
Killing in cold blood, revenge, we all do bad things, but he seems to enjoy it now. It's like he just wants to create more enemies, more chaos.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I love Dutch. He saved me a long time ago. Feel like in Saint Denis, when I got arrested, maybe he could have done something.
I feel like you should take your woman and child and get lost.
Do you?
You could give something to Jack. It's that or... Well, I don't see no way out of this.
Well, what about loyalty?
Be loyal to what matters.
What are you gonna do?
I'll be okay, but do it for me. It would make me feel good, if that makes any sense.
A little, but...
Listen to me. When the time comes, you gotta run and don't look back. This is over.
And now?
Now we gotta help Dutch give the army one final tweak on its nose.
Yeah, come on.
In the beginning, we see a conflict between John and Arthur because of John running away from his gang and abandoning them for over a year. And as Arthur mentioned, there is a code, and no one else would have been welcomed back so easily. John ran away thinking he was not a worthy father to Jack, and he will not be able to take care of his family, even feeling distant to them at times. but he eventually owned up to his mistakes and confronted his family and started a new life with Jack and Abigail. This conflict becomes very much prominent throughout the story of the second game, and as we progress through the story, it is not until that Jack gets kidnapped by the Braithwaites that John realizes that he has been absent from his duties as a father and a husband and reconciles with his family. And as the gang dug its grave deeper and deeper thanks to Hosea's death during the failed Sandeni bank robbery and Micah constantly manipulating and flattering Dutch, most gang members started fleeing, and at the end it was just Dutch, Micah, Javier and Bill versus Arthur and John, and we all know what happened next. Arthur in his dying moments requested John to run away with his wife and son and start a decent life while he distracted the Pinkertons and Dutch away.
All right, Arthur, come on, let's go.
You go.
Keep pushing, Arthur.
No. No. I think I've pushed all I can.
Come on.
You go.
We ain't got time for this, not now.
We ain't both gonna make it. Go. Now. I'll hold them off. It would mean a lot to me. Please. There ain't no more time for talk. Go.
Arthur.
Go to your family.
Arthur!
Get the hell out of here and be a goddamn man.
You're my brother.
I know. I know. God damn you, bastard!
After several years, in the epilogue, we see John with Abigail and Jack still trying to make a decent life out of the pathetic situation they were in. And it is here we get to see how desperate John Marston is to build a home and a future for his family and for himself, to see some hope for his family. He had been an absent father, and that is very much evident from his interactions with Jack, and he's desperately trying to make up for it. He eventually becomes a farmhand and then sets himself up with his own land and makes a decent life out of it. But all his hard work would not last very long because of his quest for vengeance against Micah, which in spite of Abigail's request and advice, and Arthur's, if you remember him saying, vengeance is an idiot's game, he went along with, and that leads to the events of the first game with Agent Ross and Agent Fordham chasing him and catching him. This has been one of the most iconic intros to a character, and here we get to see how John Marston has changed. He is no more of that confused, clueless, helpless man he was. Here he is on a mission to kill or capture Bill, Javier, and Dutch, his former gang members, or great harm will befall his family, who are in the custody of government agents.
Bill! Bill, I've come for you! Bill Williamson! Come out here right now!
Go away now, John. Don't make me kill you.
Nobody needs to kill anyone, Bill.
You must think I was born yesterday. You always did think I was an idiot.
That ain't fair, Bill. You were as my brother. I've come to try to save you.
Oh. Do I look like I need saving?
Bill, please. They want to kill us all. I can help you.
Well, you never tried to save me before. You only seemed to save yourself.
Bill, I implore you, think about this.
You implore me? You implore me. You always were one for fancy words. Oh. Well, things are different now, John. Now I'm in charge. No more Dutch. And no more you. Implores. I implores you to go back and tell them to send someone just a little bit more impressive next time.
Well?
Oh. Poor John.
Throughout the story, we see multiple facades and angles into his multidimensional character and also his changed morals and ideals after all those years running with Dutch's gang and getting betrayed by them. He deeply regrets having done bad, terrible things and tries to do good by those, to at least those who help him in times of need, like the McFarlanes.
Mr. Marston, I've been hearing about your plans.
Have you, Miss McFarland?
Yes, from Lee Johnson, to settle here and build a life for yourself.
I'm afraid those aren't my plans. See, I already have a life. Well, I had one, and I'm trying to reclaim it. Or maybe what you could say is I had two, and I'm trying to end one of them so the other can survive.
You do so love to talk in riddles, Mr. Marston. Do you do that, I wonder, as a substitute for having anything interesting to say?
Probably, Miss McFarland.
Oh, call me Bonnie, you fool. Call me Bonnie.
Miss McFarland, I'm married. I have a son. I had a daughter, but she died. Years before that, I rode in a gang. We robbed banks, trains, held people ransom. We killed people we didn't like. Bill Williamson was in that gang. Now, if I don't capture my former brother in arms, great harm will befall my family. Now, I don't suppose any of this is very interesting to you, but I hope it explains why I wasn't so eager to talk about it.
No, I do understand. I had no idea. You poor man.
Even in this new country, memories don't really fade. My father was an illiterate Scot born on the boat into New York. He never saw his homeland, but to hear him talk about it, you'd imagine he only ever ate haggis and wore a kilt. And he hated the English for what they had done to his great-grandparents that he'd never met. People don't forget. Nothing gets forgiven.
That's true, especially when it comes to money. And you know, even now, after all his labors, my father's debts are still terrible. I worry every day about us losing the ranch. It would kill him.
My father died when I was 8 years old. His eyes were, well, let's just say he was blinded in a bar fight south of Chicago. My mother died during childbirth. She was a prostitute and he was her, well, I don't know what he was. So I was sent off to an orphanage and ran away and fell in with a gang.
My word. What a difficult life you've lived.
The leader of the gang taught me how to read, taught me how to see all that was good in the world. He was a great man in a way.
But you killed people.
Sure. And I've suffered for it. And that's the life I left, or tried to leave. Said too much, Bonnie. I'm an uneducated killer, sent here to do all I can do well. Kill a man in cold blood so that another man may do his part to cut crime in an area, and a rich man can be elected governor on the back of these promises.
Civilization is a truly beautiful thing, Mr. Marston.
But since he is not really loyal to anyone anymore, here he is just not that concerned about who is getting harmed in his quest to get Bill and Javier in order for his family's safe return. This is most prevalent in Mexico, where a civil war has broken out and he is helping both sides in order to get Bill and Javier. To be honest, his welcome to Mexico wasn't really a pleasant one, to say the least. And hence, he was apathetic towards most of them, whom he saw nothing more than greedy, immoral bandits and dictators ruling over the country and taking advantage of innocent people.
¡Hey, gringo! ¿Hablas español?
No, sir. Pardon, pero yo habla un solo poquito español. ¿Habla English?
Oh, sí, gringo. Hablo mucho inglés. Hablo filthy fucking bean eater. Hablo slippery little Mexican. Hablo little piece of shit. ¿Comprende, amigo? ¿Comprende? Hey, what are you doing here, gringo? I don't remember inviting you to my country.
I don't think you did, amigo. I mean you no harm.
You mean us no harm? This is funny. What harm could you do to us exactly?
Nothing, amigo. Now, I appreciate the welcome committee, but I'd hate to spoil a beautiful afternoon on such beautiful land with any further unpleasantries. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Hold it, gringo. I think you're forgetting something. A little taxation. I have a large family. Very big.
I, too, have a family friend. So that we may see our families again, I suggest we part ways amicably.
Can I see the boots, gringo?
I think you can see him from where you're standing just fine, senor.
Take off the boots, Americano.
As you wish.
Oh, very good. Very good indeed, sir. What a great way to improve border relations. An illiterate farmer crossing the river, Coming into their civilization and butchering the local peasants? Thank you very much, sir.
Don't mention it, old man.
You kill peasants, you become a peasant.
I never aspired to be anything more.
A socialist, huh? No wonder you left America.
I'm many things. Most of them bad. But a man of political principles? No.
Well, then I fear Mexico may not be for you, sir.
Don't you worry about me.
Oh, but I do worry. An angry man a long way from home, a man who handles a gun as sloppy as you.
I can handle a gun okay, partner.
Yeah, as long as you're killing quail or peasants. But if you have to face another man, you don't stand a chance.
And you do?
I can show you a few tricks. Come with me.
Hold on. What's your name?
That doesn't matter anymore. And you?
I never had a name, mister. I was raised in an orphanage.
A real American, huh? Wonderful. Just wonderful.
His rough, pragmatic survivalist side is the one we see most often in the first game, and Landon Ricketts, a man John used to idealize as a kid, shows us an older version of John, who is tired of all the fighting and killing he has done in his youth and the reputation he has gathered for that, and now just wants to help needy folks in his last few days and months.
Well, you won't make it in the circus, but you can shoot. Keep on practicing.
Thank you, old man.
Now, who are you?
No one interesting. Who are you?
Landon Ricketts. Not a name that means much anymore.
Means a little. You were famous when I was a boy.
Yeah, killing men's a strange kind of fame. I was the fastest in my time. I must have been. I'm the only one left.
What are you doing here?
Living quietly. Waiting.
For what?
I don't know. And you?
I'm looking for a couple of men. Bill Williamson, Javier Escuela. Escuela's from here.
It could be. This whole place is teeming with Americans on the run. Mercenaries, locals hell-bent on revolution.
Revolution? Another one?
Yeah. Never really ends. This whole place has been a hotbed for revolution since before the Spanish left. Now there's another local guy running around promising the peasants their freedom. Just like the last two or three. Local government, foul bunch. Colonel Allende, he runs this place like a feudal king. He's an awful individual.
Is that so?
Yeah. Until someone puts a bullet in his head. Come on, let's get back.
Eventually, John confronts and kills Bill and Javier not because he wanted to or he had some quest for vengeance, but he was compelled to do so by the government, who has his family hostage. Afterwards, he returns to Blackwater to find out he still has to capture or kill Dutch Vanderlyn, or his family will not be let go. So he confronts Dutch one last time after quite a lot of ordeal, and finally it is over. Let's watch it right now.
Hello again, John.
Hello, Dutch.
We gotta stop meeting like this.
Sure.
I got a plan, John.
You always got a plan, Dutch.
This is a good one.
I don't doubt it.
We can't always fight nature, John. We can't fight change. Can't fight gravity. We can't fight nothing. My whole life, all I ever did was fight.
Then give up, Dutch.
But I can't give up, neither. I can't fight my own nature. That's a paradox, John. You see?
Then I have to shoot you.
When I'm gone, they'll just find another monster. They have to. Because they have to justify their wages.
That's their business.
Our time has passed, John.
Finally, he gets to return to his family and spend some quality time with his son and wife, but that was violently interrupted soon enough by the arrival of Edgar Ross, who considered John nothing more than a nuisance to the society he is supposed to uphold and protect, and kills him. It was a tragic ending to John Marston, sure, but not something that was unavoidable, because in a country where the government has such a strong grasp over its people, the law just could not let known bandits run free just because they have retired to a decent, peaceful lifestyle. I would not really consider Agent Ross to be an unethical evil man for killing John, but because he used him and then killed him for his own personal gain. The game ends with Jack Marston challenging Agent Ross to a duel and shooting him dead, which ultimately led him to feel empty and dissatisfied. It proves the quote Arthur said ages ago, "Vengeance is an idiot's game," which John failed to listen to, which is partially responsible for his tragic end.
You Edgar Ross?
Do I know you?
Forgive me for startling you, sir. I have a message for you. My name is Jack Marston. You knew my father.
I see. I remember your father.
I've come for you, Ross.
And you, boy, have sure as shit found me.
You killed my father.
Your father killed himself with the life he lived.
You killed him. I saw you.
You keep saying that.
You sent him to do your dirty work. Then you shot him like a dog.
And I'll shoot you like one too, you little piece of trash. Now get out of here before I kill you as well.
I ain't going nowhere, old man.
I would like to conclude this essay by saying that John is a deeply flawed and troubled man who had a lot of redeeming qualities, a tragic and fascinating character in his own right, who succeeded in achieving redemption to some degree. His morals and ideals are something that we all can learn to improve our own lives and seek inspiration from. He might not be as redeeming as Arthur was, but at heart, he was a justified and relatable character and a very reasonable man, which makes him one of the coolest and most beloved video game characters of all time. In fact, John Marston has become one of the most recognizable and iconic characters in Wild West media, next to the likes of Clint Eastwood and all the characters inspired from him, such as the Man with No Name. Anyway, thank you lads for sticking with me to the end. Drop a like and sub to help me out, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Goodbye.